Good afternoon, Mr. President. My name is Pastor Tracy Ashley. I'm a United Methodist pastor in Florida. I'm currently at Duke University taking some classes and filming this afternoon at the Durham Co-op Market in downtown Durham. I wanted to say, Mr. President, that these are all my thoughts. They're not related to the Co-op Market, but they were very gracious to allow me to sit here this afternoon. Mr. President, if you and I were friends or acquaintances, I would want to say this to you face to face over a cup of coffee. But since I cannot do that, I have prayed a lot that you would see this video and that you would truly consider what I have to say this afternoon. Since your initial campaign and your election, I have been grieved and angered by your words of racism and the rhetoric that floats about it. I have cried about it and vented about it and prayed some more. And I know that as a white, middle-class, middle-aged woman, that it has brought me great pain. So I cannot even begin to fathom the amount of harm and pain that it has done for people of color. And so because of that, I returned to prayer and decided I could not stay silent anymore. Your racist words of late, as to go back where you came from, are repugnant and wrong, and they are made even more foul by the office that you hold. If you are watching this, President Trump, I ask you to not turn this off yet, but to watch and consider my words. I remember one night when I was 8 years old, I came home from school and I told my dad a joke that I had heard. It was a joke about people with black skin. And I repeated it to him because I loved to make my dad laugh. But there was no laughter. Instead, astonishment and anger on his face, which quickly mellowed as he drew me up into his lap. And he explained what the joke meant. He told me why it was wrong. And little did I know that for the rest of my childhood and into my young adult life, that my whole family would be immersed in an exercise of intentional diversity and inclusivity, equality for all people, especially through the life and leadership of my grandparents. Our dinner tables were always full of people and laughter and food, with people of an array of colors and diversity of thought. I didn't always appreciate this, but I cherish it now. Our words matter. They carry weight and meaning, and how you are choosing to speak about people of color is wrong. The idea that one race is superior to another is wrong. Telling 4 women to go back where they came from is wrong. Mr. Trump, racism is wrong. You have amazing people surrounding you, people with an assortment of backgrounds and experiences and ethnicities. I would not have voted for all of them, but that's what makes it great. The diversity around our table can shape us and mold us. It can push us to be more than the flatline version of ourselves. Tables with the full expression of humanity bring creativity, bring beauty, depth of thought, and depth of character. It brings wholeness and healing to our lives, and for all of those that sit around our tables. But the idea that some are not welcome there is sin. And it is a sin because this table that we are invited to does not belong to us. It is not ours to wrangle or manipulate. It is not ours to control or take over. In the very simplest form, sin is an overreaching for something that is not ours. And on page 2 of the Bible, we see Adam and Eve experience this. They see something that they want, they declare in their heart that it is theirs, and they take it and they eat it. And immense harm is done. But just a little while later, Jesus comes and he redeems that moment when he sits around the table right before his death and he says, "Take and eat, this is my body that is broken for you." And that caused an immense amount of healing. We are invited. We are all invited to the table. The table is his, however, not ours. And every single sacred soul is invited. You are, and I am. We are all invited to that table. Now, I know full well that America is not the kingdom of God, but that the kingdom of God is alive and active and moving within America and around the world, just not fully to its completion yet. And we get to be part of that. We get to be part of that when we include people that are different from us, when we look for people who have been intentionally shoved to the side, where their chairs around the table have been kicked out from underneath them. We get to be part of that kingdom. We get to be part of it when we desire to have the full expression of humanity around the table. When we know that not everyone is a recipient and also a contributor to the whole. There is the kingdom. And so, Mr. President, I would ask that you would think about the tables in your life. And I want to point out a distinction that is yours, that does belong to you. That within the office you hold and the chair that you have the power and authority to include and to invite, the privilege and the resources and the humbling duty to add the chairs that have been missing for far too long, where there have been intentionally people left out and purposefully disengaged. This kind of inclusion would bring about robust discussion and healthy decisions. This kind of inclusion would turn our starving hearts into a nourished people. This kind of inclusion could unite us all as a country. Can you picture it? Can you see how beautiful it could be? People sitting around a table truly wanting to make life better for the other, all while scanning the table and looking at each other, knowing everyone is sacred and cherished and whole. Can you see it, President Trump? I believe that this can happen, but it cannot happen on our own. This kind of radical transformation, not just for you, but for all of us, can only take place by the owner of the table and done in community with everyone. The one who creates and invites and redeems us and makes us whole and new. The one who truly says that everyone is welcome. Will you think about this? Will you pray about this? Just like when my father pulled me onto his lap, there are so many people from which we can learn new ways to speak and new words to think and say and new words to lead. I believe this can happen because the table owner invites us to be changed, to truly to be made whole, to take and eat what he offers, and to do so with everyone at the table. Thank you for listening. Amen.